Alright guys, here's one that happened a few summers ago. Live out near Texarkana. Parents have a farm with a few cows, horses, and too many chickens to count. Farm sits on the boundary between woods and plains. Trees are sparse but thicken up like crazy towards the back of the property. Parents gone to Corpus Christi for a vacation, so, of course, I have to take care of all the animals. Tack the heat wave passing through on that, and it's basically constant care making sure they're watered. My favorite .ogg. Closest friends are out of town for the week. Farm is about 20 miles outside city limits, so I can rule getting some out of the roster of activities. Split time between feeding animals and sighting in the new SIG 556 I got for graduation. Wake up one morning, one of our older horses had died. She had plenty of water, but the heat must have been just too much for her. Poor girl. I phoned Dad. He tells me to go to the neighbor Frank a few miles down the road. He has a backhoe. Go to Frank and tell him my situation. He follows me back home with the thing and fills me in on how to operate. Not too different from a tractor, so I'm set. Tells me he'll be back the next morning for the backhoe. Set to work, digging Empress's grave. Fill it in. Offer a moment of silence. Shed a manly tear. Suddenly, inspiration.wav. Turn the backhoe back on, and chug a lug to the back of the property. 30 plus acres and not a single burn for shooting. Madness. Don't bother telling my parents because they wouldn't give a fuck. Start digging a burn. Leave the trench forest side. Suddenly, smell like dank shitty odor. Panic and think I hit the sewer line. I'm gonna get it, .gif. Hop down out of cab and search for the busted pipe. None to be found. Suddenly, feel uneasy. Feeling of being watched. Scan tree line and surrounding field.zip. Chalk it up to a dead horse and residential guilt. But still, tactically back to backhoe. Glad I left it running.txt. Chug a lug back to farm. Turn it off and head inside. Get up early next morning. Make a big country breakfast and go out to feed some critters. Go out to do the horse's routine, but with one less chunk of hay on the wheelbarrow. Sadface.png. Suddenly, waft a most unpleasant vapor. That smelly smell from yesterday mixed with rot. Head out on a hunch to where I buried Empress. Stagger and nearly puke. The grave's been robbed. Her head had been placed, emphasis on placed, upright near a largish hole in the ground. Tongue had been ripped out, eyelids gone, and eyes been popped out. Her cheeks and neck looked chewed on, maggots crawling around the wounds. Vitreous humor, dry and crusty, running down one cheek. Seen dead animals and scavenging before. This trumps all in my book. Plus, I love that horse, so this is disturbing on a number of levels. Hear squealing sound behind me. Break my shorts. It's neighbor Frank. He asks me why I look so pale. Tell him coyotes dug up the horse. I lied. I dug that grave at least 7 feet deep. He nods and leaves the backhoe. I play car shuffle again to get him back to his truck. Get home. Carefully tip Empress's head back down the grave with a shovel and rebury her. Look into garbage. Slop some coyote urine around the grave to keep him away. It pays to have a family as into hunting as mine. Fast forward to that afternoon. Head out on four-wheeler with a few targets. My SIG and my moist nugget. Trashy. Yes. Cheap? Also yes. For a little slight calibration. Go set up targets. Realize I didn't bring anything to actually set them up on. Punch self. Go into trees to get some sticks. As I approach, get the same feeling as the day before. Go into trees, grab some suitable sticks, and do the nope scoop back to my site. Whittle sticks into stakes. Makeshift a few targets inside a burn. Get my SIG calibrated to within acceptable parameters and operate on the clean target for a few minutes with the nugget. After a while, realize it's getting dark. Is the beer any good? Believe it or not, I wasn't really into underage drinking. Decided to take the targets and stuff down, clean out my brass and head back. Leave no trace. .bsa. As I'm taking the targets down, the afternoon breeze shifts and suddenly stank. Near a moment from the other side of the burn, and clearly nope, a small but sturdy wall in my pants. Decide not to be scared, grab my SIG, and climb the burn to have a little peek. See a medium-sized black shape huddled down in the trench. Aren't you cute.jpg. Figure it's a black bear cub or something. They're more common than most folks realized, and back away slowly in case mama's nearby. Clumsily, Ham had, accidentally, a shower of dirt onto the cub. It looks up at me. That's no cub.mp4. Let me just say that while I'm not the original badass, creepy or spooky images and stuff don't frighten me that easily. Shit, when I was little, one of my favorite pets was Delightful, an older Welsh pony with no eyes. Her eye holes were, in fact, sewn over and sunken in. She made one of my friends cry just by looking at him. That being said, this thing was completely on another level. Spectrum and set of physics from that sweet old pony. Best way I can describe it is comparing to pig-related. Jaw was a bit thinner, eyes were beadier and darker, and the nose was more sunken back, but the rest of the details are pretty close. Same drooly mouth, same slack jaw grin, same gnarly teeth. At this point, my brain made an executive order to re-examine my previous decisions. F the targets, F the brass, F the scouts, F not being scared, and F slow going. I tactically backed to the ATV, spent .0.00001 of a second making sure my guns were stowed securely, and that gun stuff back to my garage. Once inside, with a good 8 acres between me and the beast of Pellucidar, I realize that I have sworn duty to protect my farm. I already let one of my charges die under my watch. It's time to nut up or shut up. Cue arming sequence.avi. Grab my dad's tack vest. I have to cinch it a little tight. And his Night Owl 5X. Load up 3 20RD AR-15 mags, loaded with 5.56 NATO. Slap the third into my SIG and sling my new gun over my shoulder. My nugget takes mags, so I put one with 5 to spare on my vest and shoulder the bad boy. F me. I even slipped the knife into my boot. There are floodlights strung up about the farm for entertaining or night work. Switches are in the garage and balcony. Go for high ground.jpg. I tactically threw the house to the balcony and get ready for war. Not a moment too soon. Start hearing squawks and gurgles, and I still get the giblies to this day. Laughter coming from the chicken pen. F this. I slam every switch and light up the farmyard like the Rockefeller Square on Christmas. There it is, standing in the pen like pig-related. Its body was shaped like a kosh ball, all matte black fur. Arms and legs were thin, but looked powerful and wary. It was holding one of the hands with its head torn off and staring straight at me. It was obviously a male of whatever species it was, and there was blood everywhere. Unsling my SIG and mag dump, not worrying about hitting anything, trying to hit that black cotton ball on stilts. I remember thinking, I hope I blew your shitty cock off, you piece of slime. Yes, The words my brain used were piece of slime. I scored at least 5 or 6 good thunks, my target being only about 50 yards downrange. It never moved the entire time, puffs of fur flying off of it. I ejected the mag, slapped a new one in, and took aim again. I'll never forget the look it gave me, framed by that green sight. It said,
"Are you done?"
I squeezed up a final shot at its mouth. I hit it. I effing knew I hit it. I remember it, almost in slow motion, the puff of effing saliva and the stuff as my 5.56 NATO round introduced itself to its face at 3,000 feet per second. The thing started wheezing, like a rusty gate being swung back and forth. That kind of sound. It dropped the hand and stepped over the chicken fence. I swear to F that this thing has either retractable legs or most of its body is puffy fur, because when it stepped over the fence, that leg almost disappeared. I wasn't gonna let it run away. Mag dump 2, the redumpening. I didn't score any hits though. Once it was over that fence, it dropped to all fours and scuttled off like some giant spider back to the crack in Satan's couch, all while wheezing that noise. I stayed up all night, waiting for it to come back. Fed the animals with my SIG over the shoulder, went to sleep, repeated the process until my parents came home. Never saw the chicken fucking shit weasel again. So, K, what's your take?